Morning, folks. This is Councilman Rasmussen coming to you with my update from our Smyrna Town Council meeting last night on Monday, November 6th. It's been a month since I did an update. I was not at our last council meeting. I was traveling. Got to be in Austin eating a lot of honey, which was a lot of fun, for a honey conference. The fun things you get to do in the world of distilling. So I didn't have an update, so it's been a little while. I'm going to, but we had actually a relatively short agenda for our council meeting last night. Not a huge number of items. So first and foremost, to start off with, from the town tidbits, which hopefully you're getting. Actually, well, this week, no, I'm going to start with something. So we had our first Autumn in Duck Creek weekend this year. The Main Street Coordinating Board, which I get the opportunity to chair, has decided to bring back a bit of an event that used to exist a number of years ago. And this was our first of our soon-to-be annual event for Autumn at Duck Creek. The idea was to encourage all of the local businesses, local civic organizations, and folks to coordinate some sort of an activity over the course of a weekend to give people more of a reason to come downtown, hang out, get to see some of what the downtown Smyrna has to offer. We had a lot of different things going on over the course of the weekend. Open houses. There was the haunted walking tours hosted by the Smyrna Museum and the Delaware Historic Haunts. During the day on Saturday, we had the antique car show out at JBM. Small, but mighty. There's a lot of things to compete with this time of year. We had a little petting zoo out there. There were open houses at the museum and the pharmacy museum, the Smyrna Museum, the Firehouse Museum here, and a variety of other things going on at different entities around the town. So it's just a nice way to try and coordinate different activities and promote them together to promote more of what we have going on in downtown. This is the first year. It was small. Sort of by design small, so we don't want to bite off more than we can chew, but the idea is to grow it every year until it is hopefully something that people really come to look forward to every year as an opportunity to come and experience our downtown. So thank you hugely to the town staff who helped put this on, and to the other members of the Smyrna, the downtown coordinating board who led with the marketing and the planning and all of the other things that went into to making it a cool event. Hope to have more of folks engaged in the next year, and we're going to take what we did this year, take what we learned, and build on it. So that was this weekend. As far as like updates for people to make sure so leaf collection is going on. Yesterday morning they were rolling down my street. It started on October 2nd. It's going to go all the way through the end of the year. So if you have leaves, get them out to the street. The vac truck doesn't come through every neighborhood every single day, but they try and hit everybody at least once a week. So if you haven't seen them and you get stuff out there, know that they're coming. So lots of events coming up this fall. I'll have more about those as we sort of have a better schedule put together. A couple of things to note. So every year, the Smyrna Ministerium does a big community Thanksgiving dinner. That's going to be on Sunday, November 19th this year at Smyrna Elementary School. This is something that the town council has supported for every year, so it was on our agenda last night. We make a donation to help support this event for our community of about $2,000 to help buy all of the supplies and everything. But it's a big community event, and if you're available on Sunday, November 19th, you want to come out and check it out. It runs from 2 to 5 at the Smyrna Elementary School cafeteria. There's a whole variety of other events and things coming up, but probably the most important one that I want to just make sure I call out is our Veterans event. Councilwoman Gott plans this every year. It is a celebration of the veterans in our community. So every year, us council people get to select a veteran that we want to make sure is honored. If you've driven down Commerce Street, you've probably seen these banners hanging off of the light posts throughout Commerce Street. That event is going to occur on November 14th at 6 p.m. It's at the Opera House. So come out. It's a great way to meet learn about some of the veterans in our community, participate in a nice Veterans Day activity. And ultimately, if you have veterans in your family, it's a great way to meet some of the council folks, because we love to find and honor as many of the veterans that are serving or living in our community as possible. So hope to see a lot of people out on the 14th for that event at 6 p.m. at the Opera House. It's no cost. It's an open event. So as far as our agenda for our meeting last night, let me pull that up. So we didn't have any special meetings. There were no hearings or anything like that. I will say at our next council meeting, we're going to have a 2-hour-long budget planning workshop prior to that, where we're going to be reviewing and talking with the town staff about the ins and outs of some of their budget requests and things for next year. So there'll be a lot to discuss from that meeting. As far as agenda items and things on, I already mentioned the community Thanksgiving dinner donation. We had really, I think it was 3, maybe 4 other items. So one is, there is a program through the state, the Delaware Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, big long name, that provides funds, loan funds to communities who are doing drinking water projects. So we have our East Commerce Street water replacement project that we've been working on. This includes Locust Street and East Commerce Street. The funds for that have come from a number of different areas. One of the ways that we intend on funding that is through a loan from this fund of about $803,000. In order to do that, we have to have a public hearing. We have to go through an entire process. So we had a resolution to schedule basically that public hearing to discuss taking that loan from the state in order to help fund this drinking water infrastructure replacement project. We had a town resolution authorizing the town to sell basically about 5.5 acres of property that the town owns to an entity called K's Enterprises LLC. So there is a little piece of land. It is sort of behind the Smyrna, like behind the Acme, that is, it is technically connected to one of the municipal park, though it's kind of inaccessible almost from the municipal park. It's mostly overgrown. We had a couple of different community entities, businesses in town that came to us asking about purchasing that land, and seeing as it's not something that the town can readily do anything with, we were open to it. We allowed them to submit bids. We selected one of those bids. In the end, what we have to do is actually we have to preserve the same amount of land. So over the last few years, the town has been purchasing other little parcels of land that are connected to some of our parks to help give us the ability to grow those. Sort of doing that knowing that we may have to then also sell off some other little pieces that aren't useful to us that may be useful to somebody else. So there's always a give and take when you're selling off a piece of public land, because you can't just sell it and take that, money and pocket it and run off with it. The conveyance of this to this other enterprise allows that business to grow and do more of what they'd like to do. And at the same time, it helps to provide some of the funds that have paid for some of these other pieces of property that we've purchased to help grow our parks in different ways. So that'll take a while until we actually get the sale done, but we had to take the action basically authorizing the sale last night. One of the more things that I think that people will enjoy and like, so we had we have a resolution to designate and annex and rezone 2 pieces of property, or actually 2 pieces of property on the north side of town, the North Wawa. So most people assume that a lot of the properties on Route 13 heading north of town are actually part of the town of Smyrna, and they're not. Most of Route 13 going north, all the way until recently, up on the east, or on the east side, all the way up to the rest stop, was actually not in the town of Smyrna. The town surrounds those properties, but they're not actually annexed into the town. Recently, what was Ronnie's now Homestead Gardens, they've annexed into the town. and the Wawa, who owns a couple of pieces of property there, is also just annexed into the town because they want to grow. They want to be able to put in the more of the Wawa that we all typically think of with the gas station and those amenities that are available. And they can't do that without having connections to water and sewer systems. They're sort of locked in because they're operating just on a well and a septic system at the moment. And there's rules about being able to grow as commercial places and having to have water and sewer connections. So in order to do that, they needed to annex into town. That initial hearing happened at our last meeting, and at this one, we actually took the formal action to approve the annexation and the zoning classification for that property. No timeline on exactly when they're going to be doing any sort of construction and build there, but eventually that will look like the Wawas that I think we've gotten more used to, that offer gas and that have the, larger pull-throughs and things like that for trucks and stuff along those lines. We had another resolution, really the last of the resolutions, to purchase electric franchise. So whenever we want to bring properties into town that are not currently being serviced by the town electric, we have to purchase the rights to service those pieces of property from the entity that whoever owns it. So in many cases, this is Delmarva Power. So we have to basically, they value what that electric franchise, what servicing those properties is worth, and we have to purchase it from them so that we may now begin to service those properties. It's something that happens whenever there's properties annexed into town, whenever things are changing on our map. You'll end up with some of these spots where we have to purchase a franchise in order to be able to fully operate and offer that property services. Anybody who is in town, any properties that are annexed into town, we are required to operate services. So it's kind of like something that we're required to do, but we have to take action as a town council in order to approve that. So that was really the main crux of the meeting last night. Like I said, there wasn't a lot of stuff. Our next couple of meetings, we're going to be getting into much more of the budget conversations for the year. So our town staff are preparing their draft budgets. We're having a lot of conversations around salaries. We're also in ongoing negotiations right now for our police union contract. There's a lot of stuff like that that's in play. So we will be having a lot more conversations regarding sort of what the budget expectations, what things are going to be looking like for next year. Our next meeting, we should, like I said, we have 2 hours scheduled for that. We don't expect to be approving a budget at the next meeting. This is more of an opportunity to dig deeply into it. My guess is we probably won't be approving a final budget, and ultimately any changes to our tax rates or fees or anything that go along with that until probably legitimately the second meeting in December. Maybe the first meeting in December, but most likely the second meeting in December. But it's going to be a lot that's going to pretty much monopolize most of the council's time over the course of the next couple of weeks and probably the next month. But you'll hear a lot more about it when we've got more to discuss. So that's about it. Always remember, check out the Town Tidbits. Please come out and join us on the 14th for the Veterans Day event. There are lots of other events coming up for the holidays. There's going to be some caroling downtown. There's going to be the Breakfast with Santa type events. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. And I hope that when we have information, we can post it up and share it. If you're on the Town Tidbits, it'll all be in there. And I hope to see you out, and you'll hear from me again in a couple of weeks. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Have a wonderful week.